Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today you have joined me for a test review and unboxing video of the Oregon 520 chainsaw sharpener. This is the first time that I've ever used an automatic chainsaw sharpening grinder. Up until present I've always used, and my daddy has always used, one of these manual chainsaw sharpeners that go onto the bar of the chainsaw. But yesterday I was working on planking some timber with my Alaskan sawmill, and I caught a screw with one of my 36-inch chains, and it was an absolute nightmare to sharpen it by hand afterwards. It took me over an hour and a half, and so I went to the town and thought to myself, I'm going to buy an automatic chainsaw sharpener grinder and see if that can speed up the task. So this is the one that I came across. It's a professional Oregon 520 chainsaw sharpener. I know absolutely nothing about it. The salesman took it out of the box to show it to me, and then we put it back in the box. And so join me as we unbox it together, set it up on the bench, and see if we can get one of these old dull 36-inch chains looking proper again. So as I say, this is the Oregon 520 230, so that means that 520 is the model number, 230 is the number of volts. If you were in America, for example, you might have the 520 110, but this is a 520 230. I paid €270 for this sharpener, so it is really at the top end of the quality spectrum. On the outside of the box, you can see that it's pretty basic. I mean, on each side we've got a picture of the sharpener in some black and white, here again, and then on this side we just have the serial number, and again on the top it's pretty similar, just a picture of the sharpener itself. Now we undo these tabs to open the box. We open it up. Some cardboard protection on the top, which is nice to see. And inside, the first thing that we see is a set of 3 discs. And so these discs, I would imagine, are for different thicknesses of chains, or different shapes of chains, to sharpen them just to the right amount. So we've got 3 discs. Next up, we have the main mount that the grinder goes on, as well as the sort of chassis that the chain sits in whenever we're going to be sharpening it. Now, I already played around a bit with this in the shop, but basically you can unscrew here, and that allows you to change the angle that you're going to sharpen to. And then as well as that, you've got these sort of little mounts in here that the chain sits in, which are tightened by turning this handle to the right, and that tightens the chain in and allows you to sharpen one tooth at a time without it moving anywhere. So we've got that. Next up, we've got the instruction manual. So this will give you, I suppose, all the instructions that you need to use this. As you can see, it's pretty hefty. Seems to be a pretty thick instruction manual with all different languages in it. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, about 24 different languages that this is in. So I guess no matter what country you're in watching this, you'll find the right stuff for yourself. Next, we have a little bag of different components. So there seems to be a handle, a depth gauge for different radiuses and pitches of chain, another big handle, and some Allen keys and washers and other bits and pieces to put this all together. And finally, we've got the star of the show, which is the bench grinder. So as you can see, this is a pretty hefty grinder. It's saying that it's not got any markings on the motor itself, but I'm sure it's in the instruction manual. But it seems to be a pretty hefty size of a motor, and then it has got this sprung, here it is, 2800 RPM, 214 watt, 1.3 amp. So that's all this stuff. There's an an on and off switch here, a little toggle, and then there's different serial numbers and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually got, I'm pretty happy with this, it's got quite a long cable on it. There were some others that I looked at in the town yesterday that weren't particularly long, and that can obviously be a bit of a problem depending on where you're setting this thing up. So that's it for the box, nothing left in there. And now we've got all the components. We are going to fix it to the bench and figure out how it works. So, to fix this to the bench, you'll see that there are 3 M8 holes, and so these 3 holes correspond to 3 holes that we're going to drill in the workbench, and that means then that we'll be able to put some nice big M8, nice long M8 bolts in with washers on both sides and a nice nut on it. So we've got our drill here, and we're not going to do anything too complicated or fancy to figure out where we're going. So now we will get the first screw in. We'll just set it in place as a nice marker, then obviously to screw the holes for the other ones. Alright, see? And then we can take our drill again, next hole. And the finish this one off. Got a little bit of tear out at the bottom of the hole, but that's okay. So now again we'll set this in with 2 screws in place, and that means that we'll get all nicely lined up for the third one. There we go. Now. And the third hole, we'll just drill it all the way through. So unfortunately my 4-inch M8 bolts weren't actually long enough, and so I didn't have anything else in the shop, so I've just gone and cut some threaded bar to 5 inches. So this will obviously vary on the thickness of your workbench, but I've needed 5 inches, and now what we can do is set the support in place and start to screw it down to the bench. Alright, now we can tighten it up. So for that we're going to use 14mm ratchet spanner. tight. On this side. There we go, nice and tight. And the last one. There we go. As I say, that's not going anywhere. Next up, we can fit the grinder onto the stand using these three pieces that were in the bag. So the handle, bolt and washer. Now, this wee knob in here has to line up with the hole in here, and that's what gives it a point to be fixed to, whilst it will swivel later on. Oops. And there you have it. So now, as I say, you can swivel this, and that can set the angle then of attack for the tooth. And within that in place, then we can finish off the whole assembly by adding the handle onto the grinder. There we go. There you go. Now the last thing to do will be to add the cutting wheel that corresponds to my teeth. So my chain is a 3/8 tooth, so I'm going to take a quick look in the manual, find out which disc I need, and then I'll set that in place as well. So I've just spent some time setting up the grinder, and I've sharpened 2 teeth so far, and it seems to be working pretty well. I've set the angle to 30 degrees, which is the standard for this chain. And then down here you can see that I've set the pitch angle, or the angle, cut-in angle, to about 55 degrees. And so that seems to have given me a really nice edge on the tooth. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I am not an expert in chainsaw sharpening, but this here is pretty sharp, so I'm going to assume that it's good. You can see that the other tooth that I done as well here is pretty sharp. So I'm going to stick on a time lapse now, and I'm just interested to see, as I say, whenever the last 36-inch chain that was really dull got sharpened yesterday, it took me over an hour. So I'm just interested to see now how long this will take with this machine. Now, the secret to using this machine, we can just go on ahead here and move this on a little bit. So as you can see, we sharpen all the teeth of one side at a time. We tighten this up, and then up here we turn the machine on, and as you can see, there's actually a really handy little light in here. So I'm going to try and keep the camera here and just move the grinder towards the tooth. Now, the secret that I've been told is that you don't want to heat the tooth any, so you just want to go in, kind of take some small little passes, not heating up the tooth, and then just gently work your way into it. Because if you heat the tooth, then you'll destroy the hardness on it, and then they will get blunter more easily, and it'll just not be very good lasting teeth. So you can see that I have cut down, you can see here exactly where it has been cut down to here. Now the depth of the cut is controlled with this screw up here. So as I say, I'm not an expert on sharpening, so I really don't know if that's deep enough. But in any case, it has taken care of the edge of the tooth. It looks pretty good. So let's get this on the tripod, let's get a time lapse going, and we'll see how long it takes to sharpen a 36-inch chain. So there you have it. You can see the finished chain. It took me around 20 minutes to do the chain that ordinarily would have took me over an hour. Now I didn't do the redders this time around because the last time I had taken them down a little bit too far by hand. But normally what you could do now is just keep it in the vise like this and just go along and knock down all the wee redders just by 1 or 2 strokes of a hand file. So all in all, I'm really happy with this. I mean, it's a great time saver. It's a great piece of kit. I suppose the question is, who is it for? Because $300 is a lot of money to put into a sharpener for a chainsaw. I would say that if you were going to spend $300 on this, you would have to be doing a lot of either chainsaw milling, taking down trees. Yeah, you would really have to be doing a lot of chainsawing to justify it. I probably don't do enough to justify it, but I treated myself to it anyway. If you weren't going to go for this, you could probably go for the Oregon 410 or 420, which is the next model down from this, which is pretty good as well. I looked at it in the store. It's only $150 rather than $300. But personally, I really like this one. I really like how easy it is to set the angle, to set the angle then into the tooth that we're cutting, and then it's just so easy to knock this forward, and then you tighten up and you cut and you loosen it and you knock it forward, and so it's really, I mean, 20 minutes for such a long chain. You'd imagine that if that was just a 20-inch or even an 18-inch chain, you would be done in no time at all. So yeah, strongly recommend this product, and I hope that you find this video useful. If you have any questions about this machine, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I'm a totally novice chainsaw sharpener as well, so you can leave me some comments with tips and advice as well. And other than that, have a great day. Keep doing what you're doing to the best of your ability, and I hope we'll see you in the next video.